Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How do you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danni Benson. Founder of I'm Proud of You Sis. Happy Wednesday. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is having a glorious day today. It is the last week in April. Wow. I feel like the year is going fast. I can't believe it's going to be May next week. So hopefully you guys are accomplishing your goals. I don't know if you're still doing your New Year's resolution, if you made it through the 4th month, but summer is coming, I guess in 2 months from now. So if you have any weight loss, resolutions that you want to accomplish in the next 60 days, I would think that you would start right now. I have a great guest. Her name is Danielle D. Smith. She's an award-winning author, filmmaker, founder of a film, author and photography festival. She's an instructor at Ohio Media School. She's a pageant coach for Miss Black Ohio. Ms. Smith is also a Women in Leadership Program Advisory Board from 2022 to 2023. She's also a writing coach and also the founder of movement Don't Be Quiet. And she's an inspirational speaker. One of her books is called Yesterday's Tomorrow. It's a first-hand account of Danielle's suffering as an abused child. After finding the courage to speak out about the pain she endured, Danielle the same. She also has another book called Don't Be Quiet Movement Mission. Is to help victims of child abuse and neglect, domestic violence, sexual assault, and suicide. The reason I had Danielle come to the show is I wanted to know how she made her pain, how she pushed through her pain into purpose. Because sometimes in life, we go through some dark places. And I want people out there to know that we can pull ourselves out of those places. There's still light at the end of the tunnel. And even though things might look like my life is over, I can't do this anymore, I want you to know that you can do this even more. So that's why I have Danielle D. Smith on the show. I'm so proud of her, sis. She's accomplished so much. And I want her to break through her process of how she pushed through the pain to get to her purpose. So everyone, welcome Miss Smith. Hi.
Oh,
How are you?
Yes, I'm super duper excited to be on today. Super excited.
First of all, I just want to say I'm so proud of you, sis, because look, we all have traumas growing up. It's so weird because you don't realize your trauma at 5, 6 until like you're in your teenage years or 20s, when you start having the right vocabulary to describe what you went through at that early age. It's like an eye opener, because now you start wondering, did I make decisions based on my trauma? And how can I turn my trauma into something positive? Because I don't want to carry this trauma for the rest of my life, and it controls me instead of me controlling my trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's why I wanted you here, because I know there's a lot of people in this world that's going through pain. And I want everyone out there to know that I believe in each and every one of you. And whatever pain that you're going through, it is your personal story that you can share to the world of how you push through that pain to purpose. And that's why I have Miss Danielle D. Smith here. So, Danny, please tell me what happened with at like at 6. I'm not telling you, I don't want to know the whole story, but I want to know how you got from there to where you are now.
Okay. Well, as she stated, I am a survivor of child abuse and neglect. So I went through abuse by the hands of my mother and her then boyfriend. I was taken out of the home when I was 5. When I was taken out of the home, I then went into my father's home, only because I had a relationship with him, meaning I saw him every other week. Okay, that was the relationship. And I hold one finger up with the quotation marks because both of them would sign unity, and there was definitely no unity. And so when I went into that home, though, I experienced mental and emotional abuse, which was different, but still along the same lines of what I went through with my mother. I went through physical abuse with my mother. Okay, I bring this up because through my life, I then went through cycles of dealing with abuse, not knowing that it started really from childhood. And so I then, at the age of, I think I was 35, I get married. I'm with this guy where, head over heels. I used to do a radio show and I would sign in saying, I'm on cloud 1 million. Okay. And everything was great and grand. And until it wasn't. 9 months of our marriage was great. After that, it was just pure hell. I went through emotional, verbal, and financial abuse. And while I was in that marriage, though, the most beautiful thing happened. I was able to write my book. So I wrote my book, Yesterday's Tomorrow. And while I wrote it, my mentor, who was also my editor, she said, hey, you have a desire to tell your story. That was all I wanted to do. I just wanted to tell my story and help people. Oh, I'm just going to help the world and I'm going to save them and I'm going to help all these children and we are the world. And that was all I wanted to do, was just tell my story, help people. While I was writing it, she said, you're going to have to remember these things, right, in order to write them. So you're going to have to relive it. Okay. And she said, the best thing that you can do is deal with the feelings. And I'm like, girl, hold up now. Listen, I didn't grow up with feelings. Okay.
I know.
To really deal with feelings growing up. So this was new for me. And I'm married. Okay. Well, during the marriage at this time, we're going through the abuse stage. I had a therapist friend of mine who then began to explain to me the different types of abuse. And I'm like, girl, hold up, you're doing too much, because all I know about is physical. And so I'm learning about the different types of abuse. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, hold up, put a pause in it. I'm in an abusive marriage.
Oh.
And she says, oh, so she starts going through the process with me of really getting, I'm the type of person where if I know the definition of it, I'm no longer ignorant to it. And so then I'm responsible, right? Because when we know better, we do better.
Do better.
So now I have the knowledge of what these words mean. And I'm like, I'm going through it because now I can name what I'm going through. I just thought I was depressed and, just going through a hard time, in marriage. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going through abuse. I told my husband at the time, and I said, hey, we're in an abusive marriage. And he was just like, I've never put my hands on you. And I said, but your words suffocate me daily. So when we had that realization, it's okay, well, let's go to counseling. Let's try to make it work, all these things. Well, at the end of the day, I'm divorced. Okay. But at the same time, it was the most beautiful thing for me, because had I not learned the different types of abuse, let's bring it back and rewind it a little bit more. Had I not had the desire to tell my story, then write my book and then do the research, because that's just me. I never want to talk about anything I don't know about. So then do the research in order to really, really help people. I would not have learned that I was in an abusive marriage. So when I started doing the research, it helped me to navigate how to deal with the marriage and then be able to leave.
Did your
So,
husband know he was? Did your husband know that he was abusing you? Did he come from an abusive home also, but he just didn't have the words?
so according to him, he did not come from an abusive home. And what like I said, once I explained to him what the abuse was, what we're going through, your words, you're horrible with your words, you're not loving at all any longer. Once we went through that process, it wasn't overnight. We tried to go to counseling. He was not open to it. And so I finally left, and it was not an easy decision to make.
Yeah.
But the point is that, once again, I said I was able to write my book during that time. I wrote my book that led me to finding out the definition, that led me to find out that I was in an abusive marriage. And therefore, my purpose saved my life first.
Wow.
So that I go on and help other people, and I'm not telling nobody leave their husbands and their wives, the goal is for you to be free in your mind.
Yeah.
Free in your mind, what involves saying, and the rest will follow, And the rest will follow. And that's exactly what happened for me.
Wow. So, okay, so all this time you were carrying all this emotional baggage with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you thought it was normal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Because that a lot of times that's what we do here in society, in the world. We can break it down to, black, white, we can break all that down, right? And it comes down to cycles. You're in an abusive home, you see the abuse all the time, you then, emulate
Repeat it. Yeah.
Repeat it, all that stuff, right? Until you or someone makes that conscious decision to not repeat that cycle. Until you decide, hey, I want to get the knowledge on what the heck I'm going through. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I depressed all the time? What is the cycle? Depression really is a cycle. It's a cycle, and it can be generational. It could be just you could start the cycle, but it's still why am I going through depression? And for me, I went through depression for years, and it stemmed from rejection. My mom didn't want me, my father didn't want me, even though I lived with him. Then, so that was the foundation of my life, was rejection. And on top of that, that dealt with being depressed. Nobody wants me. Nobody wants to be around me, and so it took a long time to figure out, I'm a dope chick. People really want to be around me, energy. I have energy that people want to be around. And it took a long time for me to be able to discover that.
I'm so proud of you, sis, because you are God's masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
You are a dope queen, and I'm proud of you because you were able to leave a situation that you knew that wasn't showing yourself so much love, so much care.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard for us to leave someone that we love,
Mm-hmm.
because they might be emotionally abusing us, financially abusing us, mentally abusing us, physically abusing us, but there's some place in our heart that still loves that person, because we know that no one is perfect.
Exactly.
But you have to come to a point in life that you have to love yourself more.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does not make you feel good, you're going to have to leave that situation, because you have to choose you.
Yeah.
And that's what you did.
Yeah. And it was very hard. It was not easy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy.
I'm labeled a lot of times, people think I'm just so hard and I'm just so mean, or not mean. I'm just very strict. I'm very strict and structured. And, but I'm so fun and loving. I really am. I'm a true Capricorn, once again, definitions, familiar spirits.
So what is a true Capricorn for the audience out there?
Capricorn, I'm a December Capricorn. And so we are very much about our business. And so it is all business for me. And listen, I can talk business day,
Day.
all day long. And for me, it's exciting because what I do, I love. And I help other people. What? Like, what gets better than that, you know? And so for me, that's what I love. So yes, I can talk about it all day long, all night. Seriously, relationships is hard because I'm a sapiosexual. So I like to talk about business. Okay. I like to talk about goals. I like to talk about, what it is that you want to do in life and how can I help you? How can I serve you to help you serve others? And so that's a Capricorn. That's a true Capricorn.
Well, okay, so you are you wear so many hats. So you wrote two books, right? The second book said it's called Don't Be Quiet.
So actually, I'm so sorry. I actually wrote one book. So the book is Yes
Okay.
Tomorrow, and I apologize. So then I turned my book into a film. So Don't Be Quiet is a doc.
Oh, it's a documentary.
Yeah, it's the visual to my book, and I'm narrating it, and so really that was marketing to
But
be honest.
yeah, but you know what? I love that. I love Don't Be Quiet because people won't know your pain if you stay quiet.
Exactly,
And
and
that goes for children too.
yeah. I initially, so I started Don't Be Quiet as a movement, and it still is a movement. And I initially started it for children. Oh, I just want children to be free, and I want them, because that's what I went through, and I wanted to help children. Um, I am a product of Children's Services. I'm also a product of an organization that goes by CASA, it stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. CASA is located in all 50 states. They are in every single major county. What they are the voice for children when they are going through abuse. So any case that you see on TV, on the news where children are being abused, CASA is stepping in for sure. And they speak for the child. Well, I had the volunteers are called guardian ad litems. I had a guardian ad litem that was saved my life, that spoke for me while we went to court. It's the most, man, it's the scariest thing to be a child looking up at a judge that's standing, that's up elevated up. You're in this courtroom with attorneys and people, and all these people. It's the scariest thing to be in that room. So who is speaking for you when you're afraid to speak, And so that is what CASA is, and that's what they provide. Well, I went through their training, and full circle for me. Oh, I'm so excited. 2019, I was sworn in, and I'm like, yes, it's full circle. I'm now helping, and it helps the cause even more and all this stuff. Child, got my first case, and I was like, yo, I can't do this. I cannot.
Why? Why? What happened?
It triggered me, and not even so much the triggers. The triggers wasn't, because by this time I had learned how to deal with triggers, how to recognize them, recognize when they're happening, and so forth. That wasn't the thing. I came home one day, and I'm talking to my daughter. I have one daughter. I'm talking to her about, not about the case, but just my feelings. She said, "Mom, you gonna go to jail."
Why did she say that?
I said, "You're right," because I wanted to take the children out of the situation and just bring
Oh,
them home.
wait a minute, but they were still home with the abusive parent, or
Yeah,
they were in a foster
so
home?
when they're in a foster home, yes. And you still want to take them out of the situation, right? Because now they're in a foster home. They're with people that are strangers that they have to learn and all this kind of stuff. Like I ain't no stranger, right? Because I'm a
You know,
stranger to them too, right?
let me tell you something. I commend anybody who's been through the foster home experience and journey, because
Mhm.
I can't even imagine. Of course they're protecting me because they're taking me out of a home that's harming me,
Right.
but to be a child
Yeah.
and going into a stranger's home that you've never met before,
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't even know. You have to tell me, like, what does it do to you as a person? Because Are you asking where's your family? Where's the rest of your family? Why they don't want me? Why am I at someone's house that doesn't even know my name, my birthday? Like, what is the experience of going into a foster care home? And just looking at people as strangers.
So I myself was not in a foster home because I went to my father. But I was still in the system. There are still steps that need to be taken. But helping these children, it's horrible because of all those things that you just named. All those things that you named. And so as an adult, when I was about 25, I started doing toy drives every year for our children's services here, because these children are away from their homes. They're away from their family. What are they going to get for Christmas? So I'm always making sure, there's unfortunately, every year the number increases of how many children are in foster care, and are in the system. And so, yeah, if I could just help 5, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's something, but I put toy drives together every year so that they can have something, to be able to open on Christmas Day, for those that celebrate. There's some that don't celebrate, and that's fine. But still, that particular day is set aside for you to feel just good, just good for a day, but anywho, so I was not able to complete it. I stepped out and I said, listen, this is not for me. So
you didn't complete CASA?
So I was sworn in. I'm still mandated by the courts if I see anything, but I don't take on cases. So what I decided is to be a brand ambassador. And there's, quite a few brand ambassadors. I mean, there's thousands of brand ambassadors, but like mainly like Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is a brand ambassador. He talks about it on the show all the time. Judge Lynn Tober, Anthony Hamilton. There are so many brand ambassadors, okay?
For CASA.
Yes. So I said, listen, I don't want to go to jail. Let me be a brand ambassador. And so basically what I do is I tell the word about CASA. Not everyone knows about them. And I help them get donations. I help them get volunteers, because they're always looking for volunteers. They definitely need minority volunteers as well as men. And so those are huge, and so I get the word out. I can't take the case any longer, and it's really about one thing that I always say is know thyself. Know thyself. If I were to forge through and just, I'm going to do it anyways, what is that going to do mentally to me if I were to decide to still continue to do that? So I had to find where I still want to help them. Where can I fit in best? And where I fit in best is getting the word out about them, which brings me to then, I wrote my book. They're in my book. They come to events that I have to talk about, and ask for volunteers. I did my film. Boom, they're in my film. I'm getting the word out there still.
You know what I want to happen, like now in the future? Like how school teaches you math, spelling, and all that stuff. I wish there was a course from kindergarten called life.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we have to learn the math. I know we have to learn the history, but I want people to start learning the social emotional part.
Yes.
Of being a good human.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't really expect that kids are getting it from their home.
Exactly. Because
it's generational traumas that's going on right now. So if I'm broken, then I'm going to take your frustration on a kid, and that kid's going to be broken. Yep. So it doesn't mean that every kid is getting like the best love at home. But in order for us to break that cycle, I feel like we should start having like social emotional learning courses as part of the curriculum to teach kids how to conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Instead of like thinking like someone stepped on my sneakers and I'm going to shoot you. Because that's coming from a trauma too. I'm not making excuses for the person who's shooting.
Right.
But something is triggering them where they think that it's okay to take someone's life over something so stupid.
Yeah.
I want this to happen in the classroom because there's a lot of kids that are abused.
Right.
By parents who are not even ready, sometimes not ready to be parents. And there's a lot of stress. I'm not making excuses for abusers. I'm not. But it's actually a generational thing because 9 times out of 10,
So
That person has been abused.
the county that I live in, just in the county, not the
Yeah.
city, not the whole entire city or anything, for 2021, just in my county, there were over 8,000 children that were that had gone into the children's services, just in one county. 8,000. Statistics say that every 17 minutes a child is abused. Now that's nationwide, but just in my county. So just imagine what your county is, and we add all these counties up together. How many children are being abused?
Wait. Every 17 minutes,
Every 17
there's
minutes.
a child being abused.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the definition of abuse?
So there's so many.
Yeah.
I don't want to say there's so many definitions, because, some feel like, well, I got a spanking, right? And
I got spankings too.
Right. So what I'll do is I won't so much give you the definition that Webster gives, right? I'll give you an example. Okay. So as a child, one of my punishments was I didn't receive a meal every day. And not because we didn't have the money, because we did. We did. Every single day, my mom and her boyfriend ate every single day. But because he didn't feel like it, for whatever reason, his reasoning, I didn't receive a meal every day. And
wait. You didn't receive, so you had 3 meals and they just took 1 meal away, or you didn't receive a meal at all?
So I ate at school. Thank God. I ate at school, and that was my meal. And when I realized that not eating at home was becoming a repetitive thing, I began to steal food from the school and I would stuff it in my bag and, hide it, little morsels or whatever. And that would be my kind of snack for the night. But I can only put so much in there to try to hide it in my book bag. But it became a repetitive thing. But like I said, we had the money, but that was a punishment. So are you or someone receiving a meal every single day when the money is there? Now, there are people that don't have the money, right? Hey, I'm a parent. I didn't always have the money, but trust me, my child ate and I didn't, or we shared it, she had the majority of it and I had the short end. But they ate and I did not. I was 4 years old and I had to walk almost 9 miles every day to my babysitters.
4 years old?
4 years old in the hood. 4 years old, 9 miles every single day to go to my babysitter's house.
How did you even know how
to get there?
Yeah.
My mother showed me how to get there and said, now you're going to start walking this by yourself. That's abuse.
You know what's insane? I don't think everyone should be able to have children. I just feel that there should be courses. That's one thing that we don't have in our system in America. There's not really a course to teach you how to be a parent.
Right.
It's like we don't have a manual, and we're not like animals in the woods that kind of instinctively know how to be a parent because they don't go through, I don't know, I can't speak for an animal out there, but I don't know if they go through generational traumas, but because humans are more of a higher intellect, we go through generational traumas because we know what our feelings are. Because I don't know if animals have feelings, but not every person should be a parent.
Right.
And they didn't feed you because I feel that something happened in their childhood. And they didn't process it. So now they pass it on to you. Well, I didn't get fed, so you're not going to get fed.
Right.
You didn't do anything wrong. They just felt like maybe it was normal.
Right.
I mean, do you think so? Because if that's what you know and you don't know nothing else, do you consider it, them in their mind think that was a normal process? Or you think they knew and they were just vicious?
They knew when they were just vicious because
wow.
My mother received a meal all the time, but this was at the hands of her boyfriend. His children 8. So,
Well, okay. Well, we're coming back. Optimum viewers, thank you for joining. I'm Proud of You Sis, host Danni Benson, Danielle Smith. We're coming back right now. You know I have to go. I couldn't let you go because this is so deep. I need to have a part 2 because honestly, I'm crying inside because I just think I'm an adult and I can't even imagine a child going through this, like walking 4 miles. I can't even run a mile. And to think that you had to run 4 times 4, you had to run 16 laps. Like when you go into a track, like every 4 laps equals 1 mile.
mm-hmm.
You as a 4-year-old had to run 16 laps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how you were able to do it. I don't even know how they were able to think like you were safe. Just anybody could have snatched you.
And now as an adult, though, when I wrote my book and I thought back on those times, talk about grateful, having, the attitude of gratitude, and thinking about, I'm really on this mission of just being grateful, right? So what can you be grateful for? Because that helps with depression too. What can you be grateful for? You think about the small and the big and the in between, right? And so one thing I think about is like, my goodness, nobody took me, nobody took me. And, I think more on those things because I have a child. I'm like, my baby is not walking to her babysitter. Like, ma'am, you're not, and so you think about these things, and you're like, man, no one took me, I wasn't trafficked, I wasn't killed. I didn't, none of these things happened. I'm walking past people that I'm seeing on a corner and there was this place that now is like a bar, but it was this place where I would see this man and this woman. They'd be slumped over every single day or sitting there, whatever, every day. They're homeless. And I remember one day her asking me, girl, I see you every day. Where are you going? And I'm like, so when I thought about this, I actually have it in my film. And I'm thinking back on that time and I'm like, man, she had some type of concern for me and my mother didn't. This woman that is homeless, I don't know her whole entire circumstance, but she's a stranger. At the end of the day, she's a total stranger. She had just a little bit of concern, to ask me. And my mother did not. My mother showed me how to get there, and it took a lot to forgive my mother.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, like, do you still talk to your mom? Do you have these conversations?
So, as of today, we are not at the best. Years of not talking back and forth. My mom went through her own trauma. And after I had my daughter, I was just like, I need to understand some things because now I'm a parent. I want to know. I don't want to, repeat the cycle because growing up, I went through counseling and they always talked about abusers abuse and all this stuff. And I was petrified to have children. I was like, not me. I ain't repeating nothing. So I finally decided and opened up my life to, say, okay, I'll be a parent. I have an amazing daughter. And when she was about 2, I'm like, yo, I need to figure out some things, talk to my mom and so forth. And I heard her story, the bits and pieces that she'll share with me every now and then. And listening to her story, I'm like, well, dang. First of all, you're a woman. You're not mom. Let's take that out of the equation. You're a woman. And what choices have I made that, as a woman and a mother, have I made that were sketchy, that were, now I think back and I'm like, yo, that was all the way wrong. So she made those choices. She made choices too. And so I had to take out the mother equation. And when I took in just that she's a woman, it was, well, dang, let me have some empathy for her. And that is what helped me through it. I looked at her as a woman, and it took all of that away. Now, it did it wipe it away, and we're just, kumbaya. No, there's still a process there, but it helped the process because I can say she is a woman that made decisions and unfortunately affected me, but hey, I'm still alive. you know? And that's how I look at my daughter. I be like, yo, she made it. She's still alive. I don't know how.
I don't even know how you push. This is why I'm so proud of you, sis, because you push your pain into purpose. You know how many people would have died, God forgive, kill themselves, or make poor choices because they didn't feel like they were loved. And when you feel like you're not loved, you make sometimes poor decisions because you don't even value you.
Right.
You know?
Is a recovering addict and and alcoholic. So thank God I didn't go that route, because that's definitely a cycle as well. And for me to now, that's why what I do is so important to me, because a lot of times, and I don't do it for the fame, I don't do it for the acknowledgement, meaning I'm still humble. I do it for the acknowledgement, hear me out, to the degree of, man, I've been through all of that. And where I'm at now is like, whoa, So for me to win awards for my book and for my film, for me, that's more people are getting the knowledge. There are people that are hearing the story. There are people that are now inspired to make it through. There are people that are inspired to get counseling now. I remember the very first time I premiered my film, there was a lady, she was she was almost 80 years old. I think she was like 78. And she was like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I can go to counseling now? Yes, ma'am, you sure can. For what happened to you as a child. Yes, ma'am. It's never too late. Never. That is why I do what I do. And so, I turned my book into a film, as I stated. Then I, under the leadership, and I tell you, my mentor is absolutely amazing. My editor and mentor, who is now also my business partner. I then turned my whole, business and everything. Let's make me marketable and all that kind of stuff. And so I became a teacher at Ohio Media School. I have not one degree to be a teacher. Not one. Never in my wildest dream, not ever think I'd be a teacher. But I'm teaching media, which is something I know. No degree, but I have the accolades. And so that then awarded me, the opportunity to talk to these students. And I was like, man, you guys are doing this, they're over 18. And they're looking at me like, what? You got awards? What? Really? You walked the red carpet? What? Really? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and you can too.
True.
And then I said, well, what if I can get them younger? What if I can get them from 7th to 12th grade to see that they can do exactly what I'm doing? But if they get the knowledge earlier, where would they be when they're 18, 19, 20, 21? Where would they be in their 30s?
Yes.
And so that I started today's youth, tomorrow's adult media production. And so I have a curriculum together that is for these students. And at the end of the day, the students that participate in the after school program, they then are now able to submit their work into my festival. So I have the Film, Author, and Photography Festival. Last year, I started it in Columbus, Ohio. This year, I will be in 5 states. Super duper excited about that and honored to be able to take this on the road to help students see that they can be on the red carpet and, effectively network with producers, directors, authors that are doing exactly what they want to do.
So let the audience know your handles and where is your tour going to be so they can find you in one of the cities closest to them.
Yes. So I have 2. It's I am Danielle D Smith, and on everything. I am Danielle D Smith, and it's also FAP festivals. So that's F as in film, A as in author, P as in photography, festivals with an S at the end, and you'll find me on all social medias. I will be in Vegas in July. Super duper excited about that. Vegas in July 13th through the 16th. Columbus, Ohio, October 20th through the 22nd. Atlanta, November 10th through the 12th, and then LA, the December 8th through the 10th. You guys, all
You'll
these
find
dates
it.
together.
You know what? When you look for Miss Smith, you'll find all that information that
Yes.
you need to find. But I want to tell you, your story is so inspiring. You definitely took your pain and pushed it to your purpose. Because in life, you're right, you can make choices. It's like your mom made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a choice too. So
Yeah.
you could have chose to be abusive to your daughter, but you made a choice to be opposite from what your mom and your dad,
Mm-hmm.
did to you.
Right.
And with that love that you're giving to your daughter, she will become an adult, and hopefully when she has her children, that generational positivity
Mm-hmm.
will continue, because that's what I want to hear. I want to hear those words like generational positivity instead of like hearing generational trauma all the time. I want to hear that we're breaking the chains, because I think we're in a generation where we can break the chains now. Like all these generational traumas that we are experiencing, it needs to stop here. We can't keep blaming what happened in the past, because you can't change nothing that happened in the past, but you are the change maker. You can break the cycle, go to counseling, go to therapy, learn what you have to learn, so you don't begin to pour that trauma into the next generation of greatness. So I tell people all the time, like, your story matters.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I feel so sad what you've gone through. But in life, we gotta push our pain to purpose, because what's the other choice?
Right. There are choices. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What is the other choice? Because we're here for a long period of time. So even if you can't help yourself, get someone to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't talk about your dad, but next time we will. But I'm so proud of you, sis, because look at all you accomplished. Your life mattered.
Yes.
Even if your parents didn't see it, you were born for a purpose. Your story was already written.
Yeah.
And I just want to, I'm so blessed to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining. I'm proud of you, sis, everyone. And if anyone is being abused or, feel that something is not right, please reach out to an adult.
Yes.
Or an adult, a caring individual, a teacher, a pastor. I don't want to say mom, aunt, but I want to say mom, aunt, father, if you can trust them. And don't be quiet.
Right.
Don't be quiet. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm proud of you, sis. Thank you, Miss Smith, for coming on. God bless everyone. Thank you. Bye.